Welcome to the concept of economic ordering quantity. Economic ordering quantity can be defined as the ideal ordering quantity of an organization on how to purchase the products that they require, also by minimizing the inventory costs, which are holding cost, the shortest cost, and the order processing cost. This particular economic ordering quantity model was developed initially by Ford Harris, and it has been refining over the period of time. The basic assumptions that are there with the model is that the demand of the item occurs uniformly over the period at a known rate. Moreover, the replenishment of the stock is instantaneous. The price per unit is prefixed and independent of the order size. The cost to place an order and the process of delivery is fixed and does not vary with the number of units that the organization orders or the lot size. The inventory carrying charges vary directly and linearly with the size of inventory and is an expressed as a percentage of average inventory investment. Most importantly, the most important assumption is that the item can be procured free from any restrictions of any kind. So these are the assumptions that lie with economic ordering quantity. The two major costs, now coming back as I was talking about, to minimize the cost, the two costs that are associated with economic ordering quantity or the inventory decisions for the organizations are the procurement cost and the inventory carrying cost. Procurement cost are the preparation costs and which are incurred in connection with the replenishment of the products, like the cost of printing, the cost of stationery, the cost of traveling charges, postages, running expenses, other expenses like, if I can say, the salaries, the indirect wages, the ESI, the bonus, the gratuity, whatever, depreciation of the office equipments. These should be are excluded from the analysis as these are fixed. Procurement costs are expressed as cost per order and is generally obtained by variable expenses. If we divide the variable expenses of the purchase demand or of the purchase department in a period by number of orders placed in that during that period. On the other hand, inventory carrying costs, which are also called the inventory holding cost, are the costs incurred in connection with the holding of stocks. These are the capital cost, the storage and handling cost, the any kind of loss faced by the organization due to deterioration and the obsolescence, taxes, insurances, thereafter, whatever the things are. The most important thing is that the goal of economic ordering quantity is to identify, as I have said it previously, I'm just repeating it once more, to identify the optimum number of product units that the organization needs to order at a certain point of time. If the economic ordering quantity is achieved, an organization generally can minimize its cost for buying, delivery, and storing the units. So this is the concept of economic ordering quantity. And most importantly, I just forgot to mention one particular thing here. If you look at this graph here, this graph is showing us that if we take the two costs into aspect, that is the holding cost and the ordering cost, and if the total cost is also taken into consideration, as we can definitely see, the two costs, the holding costs and the ordering cost, are basically opposite of each other. So if we see here, the minimum point, the point at which the total cost becomes minimum is that particular point where the holding cost and the ordering cost are also intersecting with each other. So if we draw back the line to the x-axis, we can definitely find out the point at which the EOQ can be obtained. So this is the graph of economic ordering quantity as well. Coming back to the formulas that are involved, I'll not though I have talked about the formula for EOQ at the top here, I'll start off with the ordering cost or the numbers of order placed per year. So if we take annual demand to be S and volume per order to be Q, the number of order placed per year is practically the annual demand divided by the volume per order. So that is definitely S by Q. Moving on to the holding cost here. Holding cost can be represented by price per unit into the inventory carrying cost. If we take price per unit to be CU and the inventory carrying cost to be I, so CU into I should give us the holding cost. Again, if procurement cost per unit is generally taken as CP, we can say annual procurement cost is practically number of orders placed per year into the procurement cost per unit. So we have definitely previously seen that the number of orders per year is basically S by Q into CP. So sorry, S by Q, and if we multiply S by Q into CP or the procurement cost which per unit, so definitely the annual procurement cost comes out as S by Q into CP. Now moving on to annual inventory carrying cost. If we talk about the annual inventory carrying cost, annual inventory investment into the inventory carrying cost should be the annual inventory carrying cost. Now annual inventory investment is nothing but the half of the ordering quantity into the price per unit, and inventory carrying cost is definitely taken as I. So half into Q into CU into I should give us the annual inventory carrying cost. And while talking about the annual total cost, we can just add back the procurement cost or the ordering cost plus the inventory carrying cost, which we have found out to be S by Q into CP, which is our procurement cost or the ordering cost, and just now we have talked about the inventory carrying cost, which is at Q by 2 into CU into I. Though the derivation of this particular formula is generally not there in the syllabus, easily we can understand that if we have talked about EOQ to be the point at which the the procurement cost and the inventory carrying cost intersects with each other. So intersecting means that point is the minimum point. So if we take that, so I can easily say S by Q into CP or the ordering cost is equals to Q by 2 into CU into I or inventory carrying cost. So if ordering cost is equals to inventory carrying cost, by calculating, now you can try it at your home. I'm again repeating the formula here or how to calculate EOQ. If we take EOQ to be the minimum point, if it is a minimum point, then what happens? Ordering cost at that point becomes equal to inventory carrying cost. So if that is happening, so S by Q into CP becomes equals to Q by 2 into CU into I, and definitely from there the first formula which I have talked about, where Q is equals to root over 2 into S into CP divided by CU into I, generally comes back. These are basically the formulas which students you need to remember while taking into aspect any kind of sums regarding EOQ. Now let us consider a few examples of EOQ. We will be talking about different kind of examples from EOQ. Let's start off with the first one. Here, as you can see, it has been given that the organization uses 75 number of an item per month. Each unit of that particular item is costing the organization rupees 25. The cost of putting through each order and inventory carrying costs are per month are computed at rupees 36, and 1.5% of the average inventory investment respectively. So we have to find out which economic lots should the item be purchased to minimize the total cost. So basically we have to find out what is our EOQ. So if we come back now, talk about the formula of EOQ, we have previously said that it is 2 into S into CP divided by CU into I root of that. Now coming back to the consumption here, we can easily say that 75 numbers of an item per month, if it is the monthly consumption, so yearly consumption is 75 into 12. And if we are talking about the procurement cost here, procurement cost is definitely clearly given at 36 per order. So we can take that also into aspect. Now per unit cost or CU has also been given at 25. Coming back to one single thing here, that is the should I say inventory carrying charges, which is computed at 1.5% of the average inventory investment. Now if we talk about that, 1.5% of the average inventory was given at per month. So 1.5% if it is of per month, so if we transfer that into per year, we'll be getting that particular thing. So 1.5% divided by 100 into 12. Calculating the entire stuff here, if we can calculate it, we will get the value of 120. So that is the economic lot at which the organization should be purchased for the organization to minimize the total cost. This is one simple example from the concept of economic ordering quantity. Moving back to one more example here, let's see what's the example is all about. I'll not go into the detailed part here. The average rate of consumption of a particular unit is 500 units per month. So the 500 units is the per month consumption. If the procurement cost is rupees 36 per order and the cost of holding it in stock is rupees 1.20 per unit per year, we have to determine the quantity that should be procured. If the consumption, and also in the second part it has been mentioned, if the consumption of the above item increases to 40 numbers per day and its actual inventory carrying cost is rupees 0.2 per unit per day, what shall be its revised EOQ? So basically this is the sum that we are talking about. Coming back to the calculation here, the first part will be very easy to calculate. So as we have calculated in the previous thing itself, the formula for EOQ is 2 into S into CP divided by CU into I root over of that. Now we can easily say that 500 units into 12 should get us the annual consumption. 36 is the procurement cost, and most importantly here one thing we can say that CU into I can also be turned into the cost of holding. Cost of holding, if you go back to the particular formulas page there, you will find that CU into I is also termed as cost of holding. So if cost of holding is given here, I don't need to mention the per unit cost here. So cost of holding is 1.20. So that I have put it there. So if we calculate that, now we are finding out the EOQ to be 600 units. Now this is one interesting term here. If we come back to the second part of the sum, what has been said? The consumption increases to 40 numbers per day. Now when we go back to day calculation, students, you need to understand one thing here, that definitely there is no organization, definitely there is no organization who will work the entire year. So if in a year there are 365 days, and if we consider one day per week to be holiday, we can easily deduct 52 days from the entire year. If we deduct 52 days from the entire year, we are somewhere finding out 313 days. To ease up the calculation, if we deduct from that 313 days, if we take it to be 300 days, that is the number of days that the organization is actually working. Or else we can easily take this into consideration, taking 2 days a week, taking 2 days a week off. If we are deducting that number of days, the number of days is somewhere coming at 261, which can be then taken back as 250 days approximately. So if any of you want to calculate this, you have to first mention which logic you are going with. I am going on in this particular sum with the logic of 1 week, 1 day holiday. So I am taking, as I have talked about, 313 days. I have approximated it back to 300 days. So now I have taken the calculation to be, should I say, 40 into 300. The increases to the 40 numbers per day. So 40 into 300 into 36, and most importantly, now the inventory carrying cost has been given at 0.2. So 0.02 into 300. Now the calculation of economic ordering quantity is somewhere coming at 379 units. This is one of the most important sum which is there in the calculation of EOQ. So kindly understand it before calculating it. Moving on to the next sum here. Manufacturer of control panel spends rupees 34,000 per annum on its purchasing activity. Rupees 67,200 are spent each year in maintaining the inventory of 4.2 lakhs, that is 4.2 lakhs. Around 850 orders are placed every year. One of the items whose annual consumption is 9600 is bought by the organization at a rate of rupees 30 each. The organization has entered into an annual contract with the supplier for deliveries. Now, how often should the organization receive delivery for that particular period? So this is another one very interesting sum here. If we see here, what has been given to us, what are the values that has been given to us? The values that has been given to us, see, individually inventory carrying cost has not been given. So individually inventory carrying cost, if it has not been given, so how can I find out individually that inventory carrying cost? Somewhere down the line, if you see 67,200 each year the organization is spending in maintaining the inventory of 4.2. So 67,200 is the inventory carrying expenses and 4.2 is the average inventory investment. So 67,200 divided by 4 lakh 20,000 or 4.2 lakhs should give us the inventory carrying cost. So that I can be calculated at 0.16, which I have calculated there. Moving on, again, the annual consumption is given at 9600 units. But again, the cost of procurement has not been given. But even if cost of procurement has not been given, it has been given that 34,000 rupees per year is the organization is spending on the purchasing activity, and most probably it has also been given the total number of orders which are placed every year is somewhere down the line to be 850 orders. So we can definitely say that 34,000 divided by the number of orders is practically your cost of procurement. If that is our cost of procurement, we can definitely find out to be rupees 40. So now if we put the values back to the actual formula of EOQ 40 and 0.16. So now we find out 2 into S into CP divided by CU into I, which is practically our holding cost right now. We can find out that to be 2 into 9600 into 40 divided by 0.16. Calculating that particular part and taking the root of it, we can find out the values to be value of the economic ordering quantity to be at 400 units. Now A diesel engine manufacturer buys an item in lots of 500 units, which is a 3-month requirement. Fine. The cost per unit of that item is rupees 90 and the ordering cost is rupees 180 per batch order. The inventory carrying cost is estimated at 20% of the average inventory investment. We have to find out from the above figures what is the annual total cost of the existing inventory policy, how much money can be saved from the EOQ quantity purchase. Now to different kind of things that we need to find out. So before we go into that, let's find out the annual total cost first. So if we want to find out annual total cost, we have to find out the annual requirement. If we see here very carefully that the organization is purchasing 500 units per 3 month. So yearly, if we talk about, so in 4 batches that will be purchased, so 200 units become our annual requirement, while cost of procurement is 180 and definitely the CU or the cost per unit is given at rupees 90. Inventory carrying cost is given at 0.20 and most importantly the, should I say, 500 units are the that thing. Fine enough. So moving on now, if we now find out that the annual total cost before calculating EOQ should be somewhere down the line 200. I am ordering 500 per batch. So if I am ordering 500 per batch, 2000 by 500 into the cost of procurement should be the total cost of procurement. So that is 4 into 180. And most importantly, if we go back to the formula of the inventory carrying cost here, we will go back to half into, if we go back to the formula of inventory carrying cost, half into Q into CU into I. So if we replace the figures, we can definitely now say Q is currently 500, which is per batch. CU we have taken it to be 90 per unit and I is 0.2. So if we calculate that back and we add it back with the annual annual ordering cost, we get the figures somewhere at rupees 5,200. Now 5,200 is the annual total cost achieved by the organization before they were ordering in EOQ. Now let's talk about if they order in EOQ, then what happens. Now if we find out EOQ from the formula itself, we can find out that 2 into S into CP, CU into I, root over of that. If we put those figures into account, now we find out the EOQ to be at 200 numbers per order. Now if we just change the batch orders of 500 to 200, we can find out now, as I have mentioned, ATC or annual total cost 0 means in economic ordering quantity. So now we can find out that 500 is just changed to 200. I have just changed those two figures, and when I have changed those figures, now that annual total cost, if I order in EOQ, is coming back to rupees 3,600. So the annual saving that the organization is making before ordering at EOQ and after ordering at EOQ, if I calculate the figures here, 5,200 minus 3,600, that is somewhere giving me an annual saving, or giving the organization an annual saving of rupees 1,600. In another example, we can see here that an organization uses 60,000 units per year of a particular item, and the usage is pretty much constant at 5,000 units per month. So yeah, fine enough. That is that's what we are finding out by multiplying the per month consumption in converting it into the per year conversion. So going on with the sum. Each unit costs the organization 1.5 rupees. The carrying cost for the company has been estimated at 15% of the average inventory investment. The cost to place an order and process the delivery is at rupees 30. So from the above figures, we have to find out the EOQ, we have to find out the stock turnover rate, and most probably we have to, and most importantly, we have to find out the effect on the total cost if stock turnover rate is reduced to 1/3. So this is another new kind of sum that we will be discussing. So going back and calculating the EOQ at the upfront, if we calculate EOQ upfront, 2 into S into CP divided by CU into I, if we put back the values of S at 60,000, CP at 30, CU at 1.5 and I at 0.15, we get the figure of EOQ at 4,000 valves. Now, if we have got it back, now what do we need to find out? The stock turnover rate. Now stock turnover rate is basically the number of orders that the organization are putting in per year. So if we are talking about that, per batch the organization is ordering 4,000 units, which we have found out in EOQ. Now the total consumption of the organization is somewhere at 60,000. So 60,000 divided by 4,000 is giving me 15 numbers of order per year. Now if we talk about the stock turnover rate, as we say here, the stock turnover rate is practically 4,000 per unit. Now if I deduct that stock turnover rate into 1/3 per batch, then I am ordering 15 turns to 5, then I am ordering 12,000 units. If I have to maintain the yearly consumption per batch, then I am ordering 12,000 units and 5 orders a year. Now moving on to the calculation part of the total cost here. If we are calculating the total cost, that is the procurement cost at the inventory carrying cost annual at EOQ. If we are calculating at EOQ, the procurement ordering cost of it should be somewhere down the line 60,000 divided by 4,000 into 30, and the inventory carrying cost is somewhere down the line Q by 2 into CU into I, which is giving, if Q is taken at economic ordering quantity, it is 4,000. So that figure, I have put in all the figures here, and that figure is giving me an annual total cost of the organization at rupees 900. But if we don't follow EOQ and if we don't generally order at EOQ quantity, then what is happening? The organization is basically ordering at 12,000 units per year or per order, that is per batch order it is 12,000 units. If I transfer the values, if I just change the values of EOQ back to 12,000, then the total cost increases to 1,500. So here lies one live example of why any organization should be implying economic ordering quantity at upfront, as the annual total cost of anything at EOQ is the minimum. Moving on to one of the easier examples of EOQ. This is given as the requirement of a particular size of a product is estimated at 40,000 per year, and the product is available locally with a lead time of 2 weeks, and it is costing rupees 10 each product. The cost of ordering is computed at rupees 50 per order. The holding cost is estimated at rupees 2 per unit for storage, plus 20% per unit per year on account of the opportunity cost of capital. From the above mentioned datas, we have to find out how many units should the organization order at a time to optimize the inventory costs, and what should be the annual inventory costs. Now, if we go back and talk about the economic ordering quantity, one single thing that we have to consider here, that cost of the rest is pretty much same. The cost of holding is given at rupees 2, so I don't have to take into the formula of cu into I can directly transfer it into ch. And most importantly, it has been given that there is a plus additional cost of 20 per unit per year on the account of opportunity cost of capital. So that opportunity cost of capital, I can take it to be zero point 0.2 into the per unit cost of that item. So if I take that, so you can see it in the EOQ formula itself, that 2 plus 0.2 into 10 should give me the revised cost of holding. So putting in the other value here, we can easily find out the economic ordering quantity to be somewhere down the line at 1000 units. So moving back to the annual inventory cost or the annual total cost here, the formula is pretty much the same. The annual ordering cost is coming at S by Q into CP, and the annual inventory carrying cost is coming back to Q by 2 into CU into I. So if we take down and put up the values, we can easily find out the annual total cost to be 4000. This is one of the pretty easier sums of EOQ. The last example of this economic ordering quantity, let's see what the example has given us. The organization had got a demand for a particular part of an item at 10,000 units per year. The cost per unit is rupees 2, and to place an order it is costing the organization rupees 36, and to proceed the delivery also, fine enough. The inventory carrying cost is estimated at 90% of the average inventory investment, fine, which is very much similar to the last sum that we were doing. So coming back to what we have to find out, the economic ordering quantity, the optimum number of orders that we need to place per year, and the minimum total cost of inventory per annum. So very easy kind of things that we have to find out. From the sum itself, we are having the S to be, or the annual demand to be 10,000. The cost of procurement or CP is somewhere down the line calculated at 36, and the cost of holding should be somewhere down the line. Cost per unit is given at 2, and the cost of inventory carrying cost or cost of inventory is somewhere down the line 90% of the average inventory investment. So 2 into 9 by 100, or should I say, I'm really sorry about one thing. Most probably we have to change. I'm really sorry with this. I'm really sorry to say here, most probably that will be not 90%. Most probably a 0 is has been increased over there, fault from my part. Just check it back and convert that into 9%. So if we take back it to 9%, so 2 into 9 into 100, that should be our CU into I. So transferring these values back to economic ordering quantity, we are getting the value at 2000 units at economic ordering quantity. So the annual demand is, if it is at given at 10,000 units per year, so the number of orders that we need to place per annum, if we take economic ordering quantity to be 2000 units per batch, we are having the number of orders at 5. And most importantly, going back to the total cost calculation, from the very first sum we have been calculating this one. So S by Q into CP plus Q by 2 into CU into I. If we are putting out the formulas here and values, if we are generally getting it from the sum given itself, we are finding out the minimum total cost to be rupees 360. So just a gentle reminder to the students who are watching this particular video, please convert that inventory carrying cost, which is I have most probably given at 90%. Don't calculate it at 90%, just cut off the 0, calculate it at 9%. The rest of the sum is practically absolutely fine.